Hi, everyone. This is visual thinking. As we're dealing with visual thinking, we're going to be looking at something really in particular, which I call the Eisenhower Matrix. Now, the whole concept of a mental model is designed to essentially guide us through a series of visual images or concepts or a paradigm, whatever you want to call it, in order to better understand what is really crucial involving a decision or a situation that we're facing. And these are called mental models, right? So a mental model essentially takes those, whatever situation we're facing, right? So we have a situation, and in that situation we're facing, we have to figure out how to get rid of all the fluff, right? And how to get rid of the things that are not truly central. And as we're getting rid of the fluff and the not truly central components to a particular situation that we're facing, this eventually leads us to a mental model. And this mental model is a shortcut that our brain takes. We have actually a lot of mental models. And in fact, as a UX designer and researcher, this is one of the main things that we're looking for when we're interviewing people is we want to know what their mental models are. Now, this is a mental model that is designed to help you separate true priorities from false priorities. So first of all, when you're doing the Eisenhower Matrix, you want to kind of think of something that is sort of a quadrant, right? And so we're going to get these 4 squares. And now that we have our 4 squares, we're going to be dealing with these quadrants are going to be named different things, right? And so this top left side, right, this left side of the thing is really a scale of importance. So we're going to start here with important. And then we're going to go here with not important. Okay, so now we have that. Now along the x-axis, along the top, we're dealing here with things that are urgent. And then we're going to deal with things that are not urgent. So the question is, right, why is this mental model here and why is it called the Eisenhower Matrix? Now, Dwight D. Eisenhower is a former president of the United States. And of course, as a president, he was very busy. He was involved in a war and several other different things that he had to deal with. What he realized is we oftentimes consider important and urgent as concepts that are very synonymous. So we think that they're essentially the same thing. And Dwight Eisenhower said, no, we kind of have to separate them because things are urgent doesn't necessarily mean that they're important. And we're going to talk about how do we identify something as important in a second. Now, this means that different tasks that are on your table to do today, and you can apply this in your personal life, you can apply this in your business or in leadership as a team, as a manager. So the first thing is if you have a task on your plate that is important and urgent, the first thing, what do you do with it? So this means you want to do it today. Okay. So this is something that is important and urgent. That means it needs to be done right now. And it is also very important. Now, how do you determine that something is important? Well, one of the first ways to determine that something is important is to consider your values. Now, the concept of important, it literally means something that will have a profound effect upon your success, your survival, or well-being, right? Think about that. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that over here. So anything that has a profound effect on your success, survival, and your well-being. So if it's going to affect those, right, and that could be the success of your company or the success of your project or the survival of your business or just the well-being and health of your company. If that's going to affect it, that means it's something that's important. And so one of the first things you do is you think about your values, right? The things that really are valuable to you and to the success of your company, to the survival of your company or the survival of your mission or your team. Another way to identify something that's important is to consider this thing by Gary Keller, right, which we call The One Thing. Really great book, highly recommended. And he basically tells us to go through the focusing question, which is what's the one thing that you can do such that by doing, it makes everything else easier or unnecessary. And so it's kind of the focusing question. And so that's how you may identify something that is important. It makes things easier. It makes other things unnecessary. Another thing you want to think about are what I call your priorities. And so you may realize that this is more important than this, or this comes before this. And so priorities is another way to identify what is important to you. And last but not least, you want to think about your mission. And so as you're thinking about your mission of what you're trying to accomplish, this can really help you create those priorities and establish what that one thing is. So if it fits important and it's urgent, which means it needs to be done right now, you do it today. But let's just say it's important, but it's not necessarily urgent, right? The day is not going to collapse if you don't do it. The business isn't going to fall if you don't do it today. These are the things that you move into this top right quadrant, and this is where you schedule it, right, to be done. So you schedule it. So if it's important and urgent, you do it today. If it's something that's important but it's not urgent, you schedule time to do it. And this is really, really important because a lot of times as a leader and as a person who's making decisions in your personal life, we say, well, it's really important to me that I really want to do some research on, great boards to build a tree house for my kids, or maybe this is really important to me that I take time to exercise, but I don't necessarily have to do it today, right? I'm not going to die of cancer or whatever today. So you schedule time to do it. Now, let's just say it's something that is urgent, but it is actually not important. These are the things that we want to delegate it, right? So we want to delegate it. And this is really important as a leader. And so you want to delegate it. So you just pass that on to somebody else and essentially say, look, this thing is urgent, but it's not necessarily important, right? Responding to an email, answering a phone call, doing a routine task that may be important, right, to your sales process, or it may be important to just everyday life, but just delegate it. And if it's in your personal life, you just ask someone else if they can help you do it or do it for you, and help you out. Now, last but not least, there are things here in that bottom right quadrant that are not important and they're also not urgent. And these are the things that you want to eliminate it. So what do we do with those tasks? We eliminate it. So by eliminating this task, we're essentially getting rid of these particular things like a Facebook notification, or you got a like on Instagram, or some random post came through on WhatsApp. Like, that's not really urgent, nor is it important if it's not central to your business. So the main critical thing here is you want to eliminate those things. So this particular mental model is going to help guide you through how to know your priorities, your true priorities, from imposters, and know that importance and urgency are not synonymous, and focus on those things that are going to lead you to success, to survival, and to your ultimate well-being. Now, if you guys really like this idea, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about this model and how you've used it in some other creative ways, or any other videos that are out there that talk about this. And also maybe present some of your favorite models or maybe situations you'd love to have a mental model on. I'd love to read about it in the comments. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.